Good morning, early Riser Toastmaster. It is a beautiful Friday, September the 9th, and we are excited to have all things in order for our Toastmasters Club. We thank you for joining us this morning. The theme of this meeting is the color blue, because on my screen, we have three gentlemen all in the color blue this morning. I have Toastmaster Dewey, Toastmaster Eric, and then Toastmaster Dave, rounding out my tic-tac-toe board here for the color blue. Without further ado, we will go on to our thought of the day, invocation, and pledge by DTM Dr. Sunny Fridge. Sunny.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President of Education, Mr. President. Thank you for life, God. Thank you for possibility. It was Emily Dickinson who once said, "I dwell in possibilities." By joining Toastmasters and attending meetings each week, you and I are choosing to dwell in possibility. As we watch and enjoy today's meeting, may we acknowledge the courage that it has to take for each of us to speak and share our thoughts and share our messages. Let each of us continue to dwell in our possibility with enthusiasm and passion. And now, let us do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
Nation under God.
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Back to you, Mr. VPE.
Thank you, Sunny, for that introduction for our meeting today, kicking things off with a blast. We now move on to our word of the day by several round and about DTMs. I believe he has 6. Toastmaster Adrian Duncan. Adrian.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. The most important part of today is postulate. Careful, Postulate. Don't be late. Don't postulate. Don't assume. Just simply be careful when you postulate, because when you assume, you may make 2 bungalows out of 2 zebras, lions, elephants. Anyway, the word of the day is postulate. Be very careful and do not assume. There may be something different. When you ask, you may get a different answer. Today's word is postulate. Use the word often and use it correctly when proper. Mr. Toastmaster today.
All right, postulate. Use it early and use it often and correctly, most importantly of all. All right, we move on to the next portion of our meeting with the introduction of, we don't have any guests today, so we'll bypass that part again this week. We have a meeting next week that you all can be sure to there's things going in for me distracting. Just hope that you all invite other guests tomorrow or next week. Okay, we're going to move on to our Toastmaster of the day, DTM Dewey McGar, who will be in control for our rest of our meeting up to our GE portion. Dewey.
Thank you, Reggie. We got an exciting meeting today, a couple of dynamic speakers, and we have a table topics master that is sure to surprise us. Speaker number 1 is coming with a project title called 5 Steps to De-Stress. That's not distress, but de-stress. Victor has been a mental health counselor since 1990. He currently runs a nonprofit family service agency in North Little Rock. He's a father of 5 and grandfather of 16 and soon to be 17. His wife, Pam, is a distinguished Toastmaster and a former member of Early Riser Toastmasters. They have been married for 42 years. With all those kids, grandkids, and years of marriage, he must know something about managing stress. 5 steps to de-stress. Please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Victor Werner.
I have a deadline. I have to get a speech written for Toastmasters this morning.
I have to fire employees at work. I have to hire employees at work. I've got grandchildren to visit. I have to get to Toastmaster officer training. I just can't do it all. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, stress. We all have it. In fact, the only people who don't have stress are dead people. And I'm not even sure about them, but nobody's come back to tell me what their stress is, maybe roasting marshmallows for eternity. We all have stress, but how do we get through life? By managing our stress so it doesn't manage us. Stress is really something that's somewhat, in most cases, self-created, because all of us as human beings have different perceptions of how the world works. So what's stressful for some is just crisis management for others. But we all need to have ways to manage it, the ways to deal with it, so our stress doesn't kill us or it doesn't get us bogged down. And so today I'm going to talk about five different things that you might do to help you minimize your stress so you can get on with life, enjoy life, because life really is meant to be enjoyable. And when we have too much stress, it can make life unenjoyable. So number one, create a routine. Create a routine. Patterns and routines help our minds feel more organized and less overwhelmed. So even if you're a type B person, a less stressed, less structured person like myself, having a routine can help reduce your stress because you know what's happening. You do things in a certain way. A routine, especially at bedtime. One of the things we do too much at bedtime sometimes is we get this thing out, there it is, and we start scrolling. Minimize our screen time at night. Take some time to relax, to unwind, just to chill a little bit. So creating that routine. So you have to get your mind accustomed to slowing down. Number two, whenever we get under stress, one of the first things we forget to do is breathe. If you'll notice when you're under stress, your breath will become shallow. And so breathing, taking the time to stop and get oxygen to our brain. So one of the ways to do that is to breathe in for 4, hold it for 3, and then breathe out for 6. And do that 2 or 3 times. 1, it gets oxygen to our brain. 2, when we're thinking about counting and doing something with our breath, it automatically makes us not think about the things that are stressful. So take the time to breathe, because if we don't breathe, we die. Number 3, schedule your time for overthinking. Interesting. So rather than thinking about all these things we have to do, say, okay, at 10 o'clock this morning, I'm going to take 5 minutes to think about all of the stressful things in my life that are going on. The rest of the time, I'm just going to do stuff, whatever that is. But I'm going to take 5 minutes it's going to be my scheduled overthinking time. We kind of mentioned this at the going to bed, but number 4 is stop scrolling. We are so addicted to these little things. We always scroll. We take time. We've got a break somewhere. We're scrolling. I even find myself scrolling while I'm watching a movie, trying to distract somewhere else, and I get on the phone. Sometimes we just need to put it down, leave it alone, and stop scrolling. The other part of it is we get those news pop-ups, and I'm worst about this. I get a news pop-up about something terrible that's happened in the world, and boom, I hit 3 or 4 or 5 news stories about it. I like to stay current with what's going on, but overdoing the news, especially when it's bad, can be stressful, can cause anxiety, can cause us to worry about the world. Number 5, get it out. Talk about it. Sometimes we just need to have a place to vent. It could be journaling, where we write about it. Could be talking to a friend.
There are various ways we can just vent, just to get it out. As a young father, one of my daughters, my oldest one, used to come and complain about one of her brothers all the time. Of course, like a good dad, I would go off and fix that older brother and tell him to get in line and be nice to his sister. And one day I was laid up, my back was hurting, I couldn't move. She comes trundling into the bedroom like her 6 or 7-year-old self, and she goes off on her little diatribe about Brother Wayne. And then she stops, she looks at me, and she turns and walks away. And I realized then that she really didn't want me to do anything about it. She just wanted a place to vent. She just needed to talk about it. So there are times when we don't have to fix anything for anybody. We just have to listen to them. We all need a chance to vent. And sometimes that venting can be talking to someone, it can be journaling, it can be prayer, it can be meditation. So whatever we need to do to keep our mind calm, to keep our mind from resting, from racing, and to keep it at rest. So 5 steps to de-stress. Hopefully one of those have helped you to have a more relaxing day today. Take a deep breath and let it out. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Victor. It's a good thing that we can learn from you how to de-stress so that we don't wind up in distress. Speaker number 2 is a distinguished Toastmaster, a current area director and past division director. He's coming from the Motivational Strategies Manual Evaluation and Feedback number 1. It's a 5 to 7 minute speech. His project title is 9/11. 9/11. Please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Eric Treat.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, September 11th, 2001. Do you remember where you was that day? I do. I was sitting in my office. I just learned the Twin Towers had been hit. The nation was in chaos. There was more to that day than the general public knew about. The Arkansas state capitol was considered to be a target. The governor, Mike Huckabee, was out of state at the Southern Governors Conference in Kentucky. When the governor is out of state, the lieutenant governor is the acting governor. The phone lines were jammed at the Arkansas State Capitol. Lieutenant Governor Rockefeller was acting governor. No one could get a hold of him. The Speaker of the House was Shane Baldwin, a former Toastmaster. He was the first elected official at the Arkansas State Capitol that day. He became acting governor that day. He arrived in his office, and his staff was there. They had gathered in his office. The television was on. Naturally, they went in to meet a meeting in his office with some others, high-ranking officials. I was not privy to that meeting. I was part of the governor's administration that day, but I was a low man on the totem pole. Thank goodness. because at that time I had I did not have any expertise in that field. Thank goodness. Things were crazy, not knowing what would happen if a plane would strike the Arkansas state capitol. Considering the damage it would cause for maybe 15 miles around. Take a minute and imagine if a plane was to hit the Arkansas state capitol, the damage it would cause, the lives that would be lost. Luckily, we did not have anything to happen. The biggest tragedy that day, the phone lines were down. And Shane Baldwin, a Speaker of the House, told he was acting governor that day. Can you imagine a Speaker of the House being told he was acting governor? Can you imagine the stress that he felt that day? I can only imagine. After they said the planes were grounded, one other thing happened that day. Gas stations started jacking their prices up. Isn't it awful that when something bad happens, others take advantage of something to start ripping off people? That's the way the world works today. People want to take advantage of others. Things calmed down that day. The next day, the Capitol was evacuated. There was a bomb threat. But I have been through an evacuation of a building next door to the Capitol in my career due to a fire alarm going off. Now, I can imagine that. I have seen that because I have, there was a fire alarm that went off during the Governor Hutchinson's second inauguration of his last term. One of the reasons that the Capitol was under attack because of former President Bill Clinton had been the president of so that was one reason our Capitol was under attack. But the Capitol was then the third day after the attack, business as usual, fellow Toastmaster.
Thank you, Eric, for that gripping story. A sight inside our Arkansas State Capitol. Our joke master of the day has a reputation for tickling our funny bone. we can postulate that today will be no different. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster of the day, distinguished Toastmaster Dave Rudney.
When you tell jokes, never postulate. People will laugh because they may not. Let's see what happens. You'll be hearing 3 jokes, 3 quick jokes. Number 1, where does the sheep go to get a haircut? Where does the sheep go to get a haircut? I think Dr. Fridge knows.
Barber shop.
That's right, the ba shop. The ba shop. Second joke is, why did the picture go to jail?
It was framed.
Go to jail. It was framed. Craig looks extremely amused by that particular joke. And the third joke, my favorite joke. What did the fish say when he swam into a wall?
Damn.
Damn. Those are the jokes, Mr. Toastmaster.
You never disappoint, Dave. Thank you very much. We've seen a couple of amazing prepared speeches. Now it's time for some impromptu presentations.
What's that called? What's that called in here?
Wonderful impromptu discussion there. Thank you, Isaac. Our topic master of the day will present several questions and call on each one of us to give a 1 to 2 minute presentation about that question or comment. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Reggie Fisher.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. We are joined by a special guest here to my left. He will be making comments every once in a while, but not participating directly into table topics. Our first question for you all today: when you want to give up on something, what keeps you moving forward? When you want to give up on something, what keeps you moving forward? Toastmaster, Sunny Fridge.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. That's a great question. When I want to give up on something, what keeps me going? When I think about giving up, I often think about failure. When I was an educator, I used to tell my students, we've got to meet the deadline. Failure is not an option. And they'd say, Dr. Fritz, that's so inspiring. But then when I became a member of the John Maxwell leadership team, I came to know that failure is an option. Quitting isn't. So when I fail forward. So when I think about giving up, it gives me the courage to go on. It gives me the will to want to try again. And there are so many people in life who wanted to give up, but they didn't. And I am inspired by them. I am inspired by you, fellow Toastmasters, as we get up early every morning and we don't give up. We show up. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Show up, don't give up.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Frisch. That was quite motivational. Thank you. Our next question: how would you title this chapter in your life? How would you title this chapter in your life? Toastmaster, Adrian Duggan.
To postulate, the opportunity would be my righteousness. Those of you that don't know, my righteousness is not in my flesh. My righteousness is hanging on the cross, the shed blood of Christ. The most important part of my will is to be a servant to others. My father told us, do it right. You have to do it right. Do not postulate. My mother said, get out there and do it. Do it. The most important part of life is what you do for others. It's not about me, not about thee. It's about what we do to help others, especially developing skills in Toastmasters. Start your sentences with when, where, what, how. Careful, very careful, because life is very delicate. The ego is the most delicate part of your life. My life started when I was 7 years old. Now I'm only 17 now, thereabout. The most important part of postulate is careful with what you say, when you say it, how you say it, to whom you say it, because our lives are a journey. They are a journey of trepidations, some troubles, some occasions, no problems, only opportunities and opportunities. When we look at what we have to offer other individuals that want to grow and need to grow, I believe we can see the joy of fulfilling those opportunities that you were born, which I believe you were born for a purpose. That purpose is to be the best you can be today. Failure is not an option. You may not succeed at the ultimate goal. However, I believe the most important part of that is not to postulate. However, that means for us to step forward to help that next person. That person will help you, and that person will help others. Those individuals that help you, like Toastmasters, early Riser Toastmasters, will help you overcome. Review, record, review, record. Do not postulate, record, review. I believe you can see this part of your life becoming most valuable in our early Riser Toastmasters meetings. I believe that's what we're all about in early Riser Toastmasters. Please do not postulate this hour. Take advantage of it. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Good morning. Awesome. Thank you so much, DTM Adrian Ducking, for sharing the most important testimony of your life. Our final question: what does getting out of your comfort zone look like? What does getting out of your comfort zone look like? Toastmaster, Dewey McGar.
I postulate that the suspense that is raised by that hesitation before you call a name heightens the interest in what's going to be said. Getting out of my comfort zone has many faces. I can remember a time when I was so shy, I didn't want to talk to myself. And a guy named Adrian Duncan asked me to take him to a meeting because his ride was sick. It wound up being a Toastmaster meeting where I met Dave Rudney. Very unassuming man, very quiet, but always ready with a quote. Long story short, I joined Toastmasters, struggled with that first icebreaker speech. People like Dave and Craig and Joyce Moore and Adrian Duncan helped me along the way to get out of my comfort zone of not even talking to myself. Now I can stand up and give a presentation in front of 500 people without breaking a sweat. Not because I was a good speaker, it's because I surrounded myself with outstanding speakers and leaders who helped me learn that skill. The second phase of my comfort zone is leadership. I was uncomfortable taking on a sergeant-at-arms role in Health Masters when I first started Toastmasters. Now I'm a division director. Who would have thought I would make it that far? It wasn't me. But with the help of my mentors, I got out of my comfort zone and became not only a good communicator, but a good leader. Topics Master.
Awesome. Very well done. Thank you so much, Dewey. And thank all of you for great responses and thinking on your feet with our table topics today. We are right on schedule, so I'll now return control back to Dewey as our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Reggie, for those outstanding, thought-provoking questions. It's time for our paycheck. Yes, we get paid in Toastmasters. The payment we receive is the knowledge of what we've done well and what we can do to improve in communication and leadership. To help us with that will be our general evaluator, who's a distinguished Toastmaster. He's been a Toastmaster for many decades, a very skilled leader, as well as our own resident speech contest expert. Please help me welcome our general evaluator of the day, distinguished Toastmaster Craig Girard.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, this is the part of our meeting where we see how we did with our overall meeting. To evaluate our first speaker, who was distinguished Toastmaster Victor Werner, we have Dr. Chara Fisher to evaluate Toastmaster Victor Werner.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I appreciate all of your attention, and I apologize if there's a commentary in the background. Isaac would like to crack a boiled egg right now. But most of all, distinguished Toastmaster Werner gave us ways to help us focus if we're feeling like we are boiled eggs and may crack. So, 5 steps to de-stress. Thank you for this speech, first of all. The speech was timely. Many of us are experiencing stress. I personally have a board exam coming up in about 2 months, and that level of stress is very intense, and I appreciate the reminder. You made us think about how can we apply this and why it's important. Your intro talked about the goal is to de-stress so that we can enjoy life. So thank you for giving us a way to prepare our minds for those who are stressed and those who may be less stressed. The goal is to have more enjoyment in life. You then gave us 5 action steps. You gave us a nice game plan of where you were going by showing us your hand, saying 5, then proceeding to say 1, 2, etc. So we knew where you were going and take notes and hold the content in our mind. So this can be a usable speech to everyone. There was a nice visual. You were in frame. You can see, shoulders up, your gestures were in frame, and we appreciate that. It's a great example of how to give a speech. I learned things, and you created an environment where we felt comfortable receiving your information. If there is anything to improve, it would just be to give us more information. I love the 5 points. A little reason why the breathing in this method, the 4-second, 3-second hold, 6-second exhale, is beneficial. That could just flush out the importance of your talk. Why setting a structured time to overthink of just 5 minutes? Should you overthink for less or more? A little of the why behind each of those points would only flesh it out, but given the focus of a 5 to 7 minute speech, you gave us all the content, and it was very clear and powerful. So thank you very much, and I look forward to more of your speeches. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Dr. Fisher. I didn't get to hear Victor's speech, but it sounded very intriguing. I wish I'd gotten to listen to it. Our next evaluator of distinguished Toastmaster Eric Treat's speech was supposed to be Clint Copeland. I don't believe he's on the line. Who is evaluating Eric's speech?
Dave.
Hey, Dave, what did you think of Eric's speech?
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Girard. Eric's speech was amazing. I remember where I was, Eric, September 11th. I was in Phoenix at the Best Western, about to fly back to Little Rock after meeting with American Express for a few days, my customer when I worked with Axiom. In fact, all of August 2001, I lived in New York City the whole month in the Axiom apartment near the Lincoln Center on Columbus Circle, because I was planning to move there. Mr. General evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, our amazing guest, Isaac, and especially distinguished Toastmaster Eric. Let's talk about 6 areas I thought Eric did really well, and then 2 areas where I think the speech could have been even better. First of all, I really liked how Eric opened with the question, do you remember where you were on September 11th? As we know, speaking well begun is half done. Very powerful way to open the speech to get me thinking. I don't know about you, but I really got into it at that point. Topic certainly is very appropriate. It's September 9th. 2 more days will be the 21st anniversary of that unbelievable day. I thought Eric's delivery was very strong. I really liked his eye contact. It really helped make the connection. Did not look like to me Eric used any notes, just really from his heart. I thought his use of the word imagine was really strong. I think that's a great word to use when you're speaking. He used that word probably 5 times. Imagine if a plane hit the Capitol here in Little Rock. And then he would pause. Eric really effectively used pausing, making a statement, pausing so that the weight of what he said could really sink in. Very powerful. Craig Valentine says, don't retell, but relive, and invite the audience into your reliving room, which I thought Eric did really well, where it wasn't like he was just telling this. It felt like he was reliving it. It just came across to me. I really think Eric is the perfect person to give that speech about the Capitol because he was there. And so the credibility of Eric talking about it was right there. It was perfect. How the speech could have been even better, maybe a little bit of a roadmap to know where it was going in terms of the purpose. Maybe at the beginning saying something like, in the next 7 minutes, you'll be hearing my experience about that fateful day, September 11, 2001. And then I think the ending could have been a little stronger. We know last words linger. Maybe something either leave us on a high because that speech was very heavy, something positive, or maybe something where you could give us something to do, but just something to make that ending a little stronger. But overall, very powerful topic. The use of the word imagine was incredible. Fantastic delivery. And if it wasn't for September 11th, I might be living there because I was planning to move. And actually, I was looking for a place to live in New York City in August of 2001 to be with my customer, American Express, on site. However, after that situation occurred, I did not move. So amazing what that day did. A lot of lives were changed. Thank you so much for your amazing speech. Return control to distinguished Toastmaster Craig Girard.
Thank you, Dave, for that good evaluation. Eric, I just came in the last minute of your speech, but it did sound intriguing to hear about September 11th. As we know, Queen Elizabeth passed away yesterday. She was 96 years old. So our introduction for the grammarian will be slightly different than it was before. From now on, we're looking at not the Queen's English, but the King's English, King Charles III. And I know he's under a lot of stress with his mother just passing away and newly being declared king. But tell us, distinguished Toastmaster Adrian Duncan, what would King Charles III think of our English grammar today?
Well, he would be challenged. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator Craig, distinguished Toastmaster. Because I heard the speech from the Queen. She did not have any fillers. She did not use but. She did not use so. She did not use things. She did not use just. She did not postulate. She spoke clear, purposeful words, one step at a time. It's not the gigantic steps. It's the one small step to make the difference. Record and review your presentations. Record and review your presentations. She was and did the best presentation I have seen any woman do at the age of 92 and at the age of 96. You may want to review and record her presentation. We had 19 so's. We had just and just and just. We had you know. We had that and when and. The key word to what we do is record and review. I noticed this lady was eloquent, the most eloquent presentation I've seen in lots of years from individuals beyond 40, 50, 60 years old. She was most eloquent in her presentation. Our grammar this morning was very good. We had no problem with grammar. I noticed the words going was excellent. We only had 3 wanna. Should have been want to, T-O-O, want to do. But overall, our English this morning was excellent. Our sentences were complete. Our paragraphs were complete. The thoughts, ideas were complete. This was one of our best early riser meetings we've had in a long time. I think we had a super excellent grammar session. The odds were minimum this morning, this AM, early risers, Toastmaster, at 7 a.m. this day, September 9. To me, was an excellent morning of presentations. The speeches were delightful. Victor did a super good job. Eric Treat, this is one of your best presentations. Your word pronunciations were top of the line. I was very impressed with your presentation, Mr. Distinguished Toastmaster Eric Treat and Mr. Distinguished Toastmaster Victor Werner. Table topics were top of the line. They were some of the best table topics I've heard in a long time that were quality. The evaluations, number 1 and number 2, were quality. I believe we've had a quality meeting this morning. I believe none of our early riser Toastmasters, they did not postulate this hour. Have a great day and a great, beautiful, wonderful weekend, each one of you. The laughter that I love is Mr. Isaac. He is my gentleman and scholar of the day, Mr. Isaac Fisher.
Thank you, Adrian. Timing is very important in a Toastmasters meeting. How did we do with our time today, Distinguished Toastmaster Sonny, Dr. Sonny Fridge?
Good morning, Mr. General Evaluator. I don't have to postulate because I had a timer. Our first speaker, Victor, 6 minutes and 27 seconds. Our second speaker, Toastmaster Eric, 7 minutes and 17 seconds. Our joke master, tickling our funny bone, 1 minute and 23 seconds. For table topics, my speech on giving up and what not to do, 1 minute, 21 seconds. Toastmaster Adrian's testimony, 2 minutes and 12 seconds. And Toastmaster Dewey, getting out of the comfort zone, 2 minutes. For speech evaluations, Dr. Shara's evaluation of Toastmaster Victor, 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Toastmaster Dave Brudney's evaluation of Toastmasters Eric Treat's speech, 4 minutes and 4 seconds. And our grammarian, he might have done a little postulation at 2 minutes and 56 seconds. He almost did a speech. Congratulations, everyone, on your timing. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Dr. Fridge. I'd like to thank Dave Rudney for filling in as second evaluator in Clint Copeland's absence. I'd like to thank Adrian Duncan for wearing 2 hats and being both our counter and grammarian, since we had a vacancy for our counter. I think it's been a very good meeting thus far. Next, we have guest comments. The only guest is Isaac. And does Isaac have any comments?
He said, what is a comment?
Okay. Okay.
What's the comment?
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Very good. Very good.
He thinks it's a comet, like in the solar system. That's why he's doing
Okay.
it.
Okay. The district business meeting is Saturday, September 17th. The president and the vice president of education get to vote. I found out from Lou Zong, our district director, last night that under the new Toastmasters rules, you can fill out a form and do proxies. I cannot attend the meeting because I work 9 to 1 that Saturday. So I would like to see if Reggie can attend, if I could give my proxy over to him.
What is the timing? Because Reggie has a commitment from 3 to 8 that day.
That's the one.
8:30 to 10:30 a.m., I believe.
That's the one.
Okay, I'll ask him to
Um,
commit.
Okay. That'll be fine. We
Sunny
still have time for-
Sunny has a comment.
Miss,
What,
Miss,
Sonny?
Mr. President, I just want you to know I will be in attendance if Toastmaster Reggie has another commitment, but if he wants to attend, that's fine. But I do have to be there as PR manager, and I'd be happy to do a proxy depending on how you want us to vote or how the club wishes us to vote. Just letting you know, Dr.
Thank you.
Shara.
That'll be good. I
My
will,
comment is that might be better because Reggie has a commitment
okay.
to helping photograph someone early that morning and then
Okay, yeah.
turn into the evening. So
Okay, I'll give it to Dr. Fridge then, and we'll, I'll look up the paper, how to do the paperwork and all on the district website and such. Do we have any district or division news for us? Do we?
Our division executive council meeting is the last Friday of the month. That'll be on September 30th at 1:15. The Area A1 executive council meeting will be on September 29th at 1:15 Thursday in the afternoon. And our dues are due now, and they will be delinquent on October 1st. Please get with our treasurer and get your dues paid. If you're a club officer, you can pay your TI dues directly through Club Central. Make sure you get your club dues to the treasurer as well. We need to get all of our dues paid before the end of September.
Mr. Treasurer, how many members have paid dues thus far for the next term?
I haven't actually seen, I think Sunny and Dewey, but I don't know. I haven't looked on Toastmasters
Okay,
website yet.
As of
okay,
yesterday.
But I need to send that email out. Do that right now before I
Right.
leave.
it's $51, right?
Yes.
Including
Yeah.
local.
And if you pay for it yourself, otherwise I'll be sending an email in just a second that will tell you how to, if you're sending it by check, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, to send it directly to me.
Okay. Yes, Eric?
Yes, I will be contacting the president, vice president of education to set up to see what's the best time for them for Area A2 council meeting to get set up for the end of the month.
Okay, it's fine. That'll be good. I'll send you my work schedule, and then what works good for me. It doesn't have to be revolved around me, but I'll just send you my work schedule. Anyway, does anyone else have any other business to bring before our club?
Victor is correct. Sonny and I are the only ones paid thus far.
Okay, Sonny, good
So
comment.
I would
Couple
like
weeks to get
to,
done.
excuse me, Toastmaster Dewey, you were saying?
Just saying Sonny and I are the only ones paid thus far. We got a couple of weeks to get everyone else paid.
Okay,
Toastmaster Shara and I are working on our PR. So I want to take a picture of the club screenshot so we can update our website. So next week, if it's at all possible, please come so we can take a nice picture. And if you can't be here, you can always send me a photo of yourself. I'll Photoshop it in, but just so that people will know that we live on and online. So thank you for your participation.
thank you, Sonny. Anyone else have any other business to bring before our club? Seeing none, we now stand adjourned.